Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tackling the massive and, let's be honest, kind of complex world of outsourcing. It's an industry packed with options, which really brings up a huge question. How do you find the right partner for your business? And, maybe even more important, what's the right way to partner with them?
To get a sense of just how big this is, let's look at just one little piece of the pie. Back in 2021, the market for cloud services alone was worth over $40 billion US, and that, believe it or not, is just a fraction of the entire global sourcing market.
I mean, you've got this whole universe of suppliers, right? From the huge giants we've all heard of to these super specialized local shops. They offer everything from basic data entry to a complete top-to-bottom digital transformation. So yeah, you can see why just picking one can feel pretty overwhelming.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to look at the main ways you can partner up, then we'll get into the challenges of juggling multiple suppliers, and finally, we'll break down what really makes a supplier great. The goal here is to turn all that complexity into some real clarity.
So first things first, we've got to understand the basic ways you can actually structure one of these deals. Because it's not just about who you choose, it's about how you set up the entire relationship right from the very beginning.
And a really simple way to think about it is like you're building a house. Do you go out and hire one general contractor to handle everything, from digging the foundation to putting on the roof? Or do you decide to become your own contractor and assemble a dream team of the best specialists you can find? Your answer really points you to one of four main partnership models.
And here they are. You've got the sole supplier, best of breed, the panel, and the prime contractor. Let's dig into what each of these actually means.
Okay, first up, the sole supplier. The biggest advantage here is simplicity. You've got one point of contact, one person to hold accountable. But, and this is a big but, no single company is the best at everything. You might get an amazing plumber, but the electrical work could be, just okay.
So what's the alternative? Well, you've got the best-of-breed model. This is where you handpick a specialist for every single job, so you get top-notch quality across the board. In fact, something like 75% of companies in the UK and US use this model to lower their risk. The catch? Well, now you're the general contractor. It's a lot more work to manage.
But what if your needs are always changing? That's where the panel model is super useful. You basically create a pre-approved list of suppliers you trust. Then, when a new project pops up, they compete for it. This is really common for things like app development or specialized consulting, where things are always in flux.
And finally, there's the prime contractor. Here, you hire one main company, and they are totally on the hook for everything, but they bring in their own team of subcontractors for all the specialized work. It kind of tries to give you the best of both worlds. You get that deep expertise, but it's all managed through one single relationship.
Now here's where things get really interesting. You probably noticed that most of these modern approaches, like best of breed or prime contractor, mean you're working with multiple suppliers. And that brings up a whole new, really critical challenge: integration. I mean, think about it. If one company is handling your data and another is handling your apps, whose job is it to make sure those two things talk to each other without a hitch? That role has a name. It's called the service integrator. And deciding who's going to fill that role is one of the biggest decisions you'll have to make.
So in the first model, that person is you. You, the client, take on the role of service integrator. You do this if you want total control, and you're confident you have the skills in-house to manage all those moving pieces yourself.
Or you could delegate it. In this model, you pick one of your main suppliers to be the guardian, so to speak. They're not just delivering their own service, they're also in charge of coordinating all the others. This can work great when one supplier's work is really central to everything else.
Model C is like bringing in a neutral referee. You hire a completely separate company whose only job is to manage and integrate your other suppliers. This is great for keeping things impartial, since they aren't also trying to sell you their own services. And last up, Model D. This one lines up perfectly with that prime contractor model we were just talking about. The integration is completely handled by your main supplier. All you have to do is manage that one relationship, and they take care of everything else down the line.
So what this all boils down to is a really fundamental trade-off. It's breadth versus depth. On one hand, having more suppliers gives you breadth. You get access to the absolute best specialists for any given job. But it costs more to manage. On the other hand, having fewer suppliers gives you depth. They get to know your business inside and out and can build custom solutions for you. The risk there? You become way more dependent on them, and switching suppliers becomes a whole lot harder.
Okay, so you've picked your structure. That's a huge step, but it's really only half the battle. Now you have to find the right partner for that structure. So let's break down what capabilities you should actually be looking for.
First, and this is table stakes, they have to nail the fundamentals. This is called delivery competency. It's simply their ability to do the job, day in and day out, reliably. It's built on stuff you'd expect, like domain expertise. They have to actually know your industry, and strong governance, so they have solid processes for managing quality and risk.
But, look, just keeping the lights on isn't enough. A truly great partner also has transformation competency. This is where they stop just operating and start actively driving your business forward. They do this with things like process improvement to make you more efficient and technology exploitation, which is a fancy way of saying they're great at finding and using new tech to create real value for you.
And finally, none of that other stuff works without the third pillar, relationship competency. This is the glue that holds everything together. It's about aligning for the long haul. It's built on smart planning and contracting that makes you feel like real partners, not just a transaction, and an organizational design that makes sure your team and their team can actually work together.
So, if you take one thing away today, let it be this. Success in outsourcing is not about just picking a vendor from a catalog. It's about consciously designing a partnership. You're making strategic choices about the structure of the deal and the capabilities of your partner, and how those two things fit together.
And at the end of the day, the goal is a real win-win partnership. There's this great quote from a contract manager who said it perfectly. You don't want your suppliers to lose money, because the worse their business gets, the worse your business gets. Their success is tied directly to yours.
And that leaves us with one final thought, a question for you to take back with you. When you look at your own business, is your supplier setup designed just for today's stability? Or is it agile enough? Is it designed to be a catalyst for tomorrow's transformation and growth?